Hey everybody, welcome back to the Comic Wall. It's me, the Outcast Angel, and today let's talk about issue 35 of Manifest Destiny by Chris Dingess. Now, this cover was one of my absolute favorites because it's a completely different style that I've seen Matthew Roberts and who does the cover? Matthew and Owen do on these covers. I mean, they always blow me away with their art and in every issue, But it's just crazy, and just the last few issues in this arc have really been colorful, like just colorfully schemed, and so I don't know if that made sense, but I'm rolling with it. I'm rolling with it. But yeah, I am absolutely in love with it. So jumping in from what happened last time, Lewis, Clark, and a handful of the Corps of Discovery were banished from their fort by Sergeant Pryor, who has really found himself in the Word of God and has assumed control of the fort, basically using God to strike fear into these soldiers and to give these soldiers hope after all the horror they've seen in their adventures or misadventures, more like it. So here we get to see more of what happens after um, Lewis and Clark were banished. Of course, as we run into new characters, we see Pryor writing in his journal, just saying how after the fact of the banishment of their captains, he and the other men were feeling a little, I guess, remorseful. They felt bad about what they had just done, but in their heads they felt that it had to be done. And so here he says, I myself have trouble imagining what Captains Clark and Lewis were thinking. And in the first page, in the last panel, we see Clark saying, we should stay close to the fort, seize it when the first opportunity presents itself. But Lewis says, no, I have a plan. In the next few scenes, we see more of the soldiers as they're uh, adapting to Sergeant Pryor's leadership. Like we see here how they give grace during their meals, and they say, and we see Pryor saying, "We mention the banished at every evening grace, wishing them a quick death as painless as possible. That is all we can afford them." No, you didn't have to kick them out. And it's interesting because here, Sergeant Pryor mentions, I suppose the biggest change in the men would be morale. Now that they know the direction they are headed, which is home, they are all much happier. They're not going to be much happier going back home because they're not going to be welcomed home. They're going to be, basically branded as deserters, and deserters haven't exactly had the best uh, history in history. Then we get to see more of Jensen, the little sewer rat that I don't even love to hate him. I just hate him. I just want him to die. I really do. He's just a squirrely little runt. But here we see Jensen really picking on York. If you remember York, he's Clark's African American assistant, I would call, because Clark, while African Americans were slaves during this time in American history, Clark didn't treat York as a slave. I mean, he treated him as a soldier, giving commands, but he respected him. Jensen never appreciated that. So when York was going to leave with Lewis and Clark, Jensen stepped in and said, "No, the slave is forfeit property. He stays with us." And Jensen's really just working him like a dog. He just has him chopping wood like crazy, and even one of the soldiers that walk by questions him. He's like, "How much wood are you gonna have this man chop, Jensen?" And then Jensen ends up hitting York after York didn't really respond to him, and here it says here he's just edging him on, trying to get some kind of response out of him, saying, "Look at you, you're angry boy. You want to do something? Maybe hit me? I bet anything you'd love to part my hair with that axe, wouldn't you?" And he says, "You might have been able to once upon a time, Clark was always letting you get out of control, letting you mouth off to your betters. Ugh. Those days are over. You belong to us now. You understand? And York can only just say yes, sir, because if not, he's going to get hurt. And so it sucks. But I am excited because as we see from next issue's cover, we see York getting holding a whip. So I'm sure he's going to get some revenge out of the next issue. Next, we get to see the Corps of Discovery's attempts at taking down the Arch, which doesn't provide any progress because after tying ropes to it and trying to pull it down, it doesn't bend. And after hitting it, trying to chop it down with axes, the axes break. So it's interesting because out of all the other arches that we've seen, this arch doesn't seem to be made of anything. And even here, like, Pryor's journal entries are like, we were unsuccessful. They wouldn't bend to rope. The axe is useless as well. The arch is not made of anything of man's world. And I was at a crossroads. I was failing. And then we're presented with the Conquistador ghost, Maldonado. And it's here it says, it was at that moment that God gave me a gift, in which was Maldonado. Now, I have a theory that this arch might not be made of course, might not be made of the same stuff as the different arches. If you've noticed, the arches had were obviously made of different materials, but they were made of materials that, I guess, matched the creatures that were around them. Like, the first arch we saw was made out of plants, and then we ran into the buffalo tar and the flora virus that kind of turned everyone into plant zombies. Then we ran into the frog, which that arch was kind of made out of like seaweed and everything. It had a whole bunch of eggs attached to it, which bothers me because when are we going to see more of those? And then the Vamateur, the weird Jeepers Creepers looking one, its arch was made out of poop, which I'm sure was its own poop. All of those were able to be destroyed, essentially. But this one, if you remember, this one produced that mist or that smoke that it caused everyone to see their greatest fears. And I'm wondering if maybe this arch runs on, I guess, fear or just belief. Like, if the Corps of Discovery were to, just stop believing in it, it would disappear or something. It's a bad explanation, but I think somewhere along those lines that's how they're going to end up taking it down, because just how all the other arches have been, that's the only theory I can conclude. Like, what if they really will themselves to tear it down or something? I don't know. It's just what I'm thinking at the moment. We're probably going to see how they take it down in the next issue. So now Maldonado has presented himself to Sergeant Pryor as an advisor, as he has with, like, Lewis and Clark, the other two during the Sasquatch arc. That was the first time we saw him. And as we know, he is a messenger of Navath. He's working with Navath. And I don't know, I'm excited to see more of that demigod or whatever he is. So with Maldonado by his side, Pryor has the men kneeling before the arch and I guess praying, like just praying and trying to, just praying to God. And what he says, we are determined to show the Lord our devotion. It is good for the men as well. Some of them were becoming frustrated with my leadership. They need to be reminded that I'm just following God's will. We prayed 3 times a day for 3 hours at a time. We have done this every day for a week now. That is intense. I don't know that many people who pray that much, I mean, I could be wrong, but it's interesting to me, but to me, it's just intense. And funny thing, at the end of this page, he says, my faith is unwavering. And then in the next scene, we see him kind of complaining to Maldonado, saying, why does he not hear us? Why does he not answer us? And Maldonado's, assuring him, saying, "My child, you are a dutiful servant of my lord, as my lord could ever ask for, but you must be patient." And Pryor is noticing that the rest of the men are starting to question his leadership, starting to really wonder, are we really going to follow this guy? But Maldonado says they still hold you in the same light as that they always did, as the man brave enough to step forward and deliver them from the clutches of those madmen, the two sinners, the blasphemers. They look at you like a leader, a survivor. But then we see another scene where four of the troops are gathered around a fire, and they're starting to really question Pryor's leadership. Like, one of them says, "I can't kneel for one more hour," and then the other says, so you want to take over then? Is that it, Bennington?" And he's like, "Maybe," but the thing is, none of these men are willing to stand up and take that next step to another mutiny. And in the shadows, we see Jensen snooping about as always, the little rat, and he has this look on his face. And at first, I was pretty sure that he was going to rat these guys out, but after these next scenes, I have a different approach to that. So the next scene, we get an alert that there's movement in the perimeter of the fort, and we see here that there's riders, Native Americans on horseback in the shadows of the forest. And so Pryor goes up to the wall with the watchman to see what's going on, and through the eye of a telescope, we see the Native Americans on horseback. And so Pryor is a little nervous because he doesn't exactly have anyone to speak Native American. And even someone else says, "I don't think it's one language, sir." But turns out that the natives have actually brought their own translator, which is Charbonneau, who is naked again and tied up. He's I don't know what's up with this guy. He's always getting into trouble and losing his clothes. Now, funny thing, when I first saw this page, I freaked out at Charbonneau's legs. They are absolute chicken legs. It was insane, and I was laughing my butt off. But I'm pretty sure it was the lens of the telescope that the artists were trying to morph, because with glass it always morphs, and it was just silly to me. Then in the next page we see Charbonneau, well, speaking for the Native Americans. He explains that my hosts would like to talk to our leaders. They want Captains Lewis and Clark. They are terribly upset regarding a deal struck for some of their horses. And so they try to say, haven't you told them that they're not with us or they're not in charge? And he's like, yes, I tried to explain that. But as you can see by my face, which is all beat up and bruised, they do not believe me. They wish to speak to the man in charge, our chief as it were, and they want him to come out alone. Not a good idea. And so, and of course Pryor thinks so too, because he's like, what do I do? And he's like, I can't go out alone. I'd be at the savage's mercy. This is where I thought that Jensen had a different agenda, because he says, I'll go. There's no need to risk your life, sir. Let me go. I'll lie, tell them I'm the leader, and I will make them respect me as I've done with Clark's slave. Of course, he had to throw that in. And Maldonado is like, I knew it was only a matter of time before this one tried to diminish your control. This is a power grab. He will pretend to be the leader. He will negotiate peace with these weak-minded savages, and then your men will respect him above you. And so, Pryor to walk out saying, thank you, Jensen, but this is my command, and it is my duty to speak to them. I will have the angels with me. So then, Frick, the one who is manning the telescope, is kind of telling him what's going on, and Pryor approaches the natives on horseback, and he's trying to talk them down, but as we see him talking, one of the natives pulls out something, and then the end of the issue is us seeing Pryor through telescope with a tomahawk flying into his head. And that cannot, there is there are many endings to an issue that have been satisfying in Manifest Destiny. This is one of them. I was so happy to see him just get his coming to him. I was just tired of his bullshit. And that's the end of the issue. Also, I ended up getting a letter printed in this issue, and so I got a couple questions answered. And so I start off with, "Hello, Manifest Destiny team. So yeah, issue 33 was just all nerves to me, and then the mutiny. Geez, y'all know how to keep your readers on edge. But if the Arch already took Wallace, won't it not need baby Jean, the baby that Sacagawea had?" And then Sean is just like, hmm. And then Chris says, "Wallace was kind of a big baby, so maybe the Arch has had its fill? Maybe?" These guys are silly. Anyway, I continue with, also, nice misdirection with the cover. I seriously thought Jensen was going to be killed, whether it be Wally coming back from the Arch or something else. But I completely forgot about Hardy and Irene's vengeance, because in the description of the issue, it says everyone has found a body, and now tensions are running high. And I completely forgot that, what was it? Hardy had been killed. And so Sean replies with, "A lot of vengeance in this arc to dish out. See? Pryor, Hatchet." And we're not done yet. And Chris throws in saying, "It's an easy mistake to make. Jensen has it coming. He's gonna die. I'm excited for it." And then I finish with, I'm pretty excited to see how things turn out. These covers have me pretty hyped, and they are beautiful. Cheers to Matthew and Owen. And even here, Owen is insanely talented. I'm never not blown away by his colors. And so that's the end of the issue and the end of my letter. And, you know, if you guys have any theories as to what's going to go on in the next issue, throw them down in the comments. You know, we can talk about it. Also, huge shout out to Pat Brosseau, the letterer for Manifest Destiny, because through him I was able to get this week's issue, and through his Twitter giveaway, he sent me volume 5 of Manifest Destiny, the most recent trade paperback for Manifest Destiny. He also sent me volume 6 of Birthright, which I usually don't collect the trades for this one, but I do collect the single issues, and it's been a while since they've released one. And so yeah, I'm pretty psyched. I mean, this is my first Birthright trade, and this is my my most recent trade for Manifest Destiny, so pretty much that collection's up to date. He also sent me volume 5 of Suicide Squad, which he also letters for, so, you know, huge shout out to him. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And so yeah, if you guys aren't following him on Twitter, give him a follow at Droog811. You know, he's pretty cool guy, and he does random giveaways from time to time, so check it out. And as always, thank you for watching. I hope you guys liked it, and if you did, drop a like, show the love, hit that subscribe button to get more of my videos, ring the bell to get notifications on when I post new videos, so that way you guys stay updated and you guys don't miss out. And until next time, see you later. Bye.